Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about the Litehawk Aero, because that's our helicopter on the boards today. Now I've done an antenna mod to this thing recently, and I've noticed already some really excellent improvements. I haven't been able to do a flight test yet as far as distance goes, but I'm pretty much sure I can be guaranteed I've increased the distance quite a bit. Out of the box, this thing is good for about 70 feet, which is actually quite pathetic. But hey, you always hope it's actually a little bit more. But unfortunately, 70 feet's about maxed out for this little baby. And then she'll drop out of the sky, or she might just keep going and then decide to drop, you know. It has some weird behaviors, but every helicopter does. It's not just this one. So I'm not picking on this and saying, oh, this is, okay. What I'm saying is that when you exceed the range, this is what this thing's going to do to you, okay. You're going to lose control. It may still keep going for a bit. I've seen guys actually lose their helicopters another 100 feet away after, you know what I mean? It's just, sometimes it's actually hilarious to watch. But no, so 70 feet's our max on this thing from the factory. And part of that is contributed to the fact that it's got a very poor antenna system. Like all of these 3-channel helicopters have a very, very poor antenna system. They're using tin wire as an antenna, which is probably about the worst thing you could ever use for an antenna wire. Copper, on the other hand, kudos, way, way better, okay? Now the antenna wire length for this helicopter is 26 inches. I've already measured it out. I still got the original wire here. It's really skimpy stuff. I really don't like it. But you got 26 inches worth of wire here. Very, very thin. So what we've done is we've got some wire that's for sure 2 times, could be about 2.5 times, but we're going to say 2 times thicker, and being copper based. A little thicker casing too. So far I've noticed I've got faster, smoother throttle response, faster, smoother cyclics. So big difference compared to having the factory wire on there even at 2 feet away. And even at 36 feet away, which we're going to do that test for you too to show you, it's still very fast responses. Now I'm not going to fire the throttle up at 36 feet away because I can't see the helicopter, and I really don't want to smash it into something like my laptop, for instance, okay? But we will cycle it in here. We'll spool it up a little bit just to show you. In the springtime we're going to do an outdoor video to see what kind of distance we get out of this thing compared, and the responses compared to what it was like previously. Now I also have another Litehawk Aero that's on the 49 megahertz band. That one actually still hasn't even been flown yet because I got it over the winter, so hey, I'm not flying outside in the winter anymore. I quit that after trashing a couple of helis. And it's still got the factory antenna on it, so we've got a good comparison to deal with there, and we will do that in the video. So anyway, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to show you the actual thickness difference of these wires. And of course, you're going to see that the red wire here is actually copper inside. Now the black, I've got a black wire on there on the outside casing, but it's the exact same wire. So we'll just zoom out here. We'll see how clear of a picture we can get going here. So you're looking at about twice the amount of thickness in the copper wire compared to the tin wire. And that's already a huge difference. Now, let's talk a little bit about theoretics here. We have a 26-inch wire. Let's say we've got 10 strands of wire inside this casing altogether. Okay? That's about 260 inches of wire. So if we have 20 wires in this, we've got 560 inches of wire. Now, theoretically, the longer the antenna, the more the range, right? So, if we have twice as many wires, we're going to get twice as much range, in theory. Now that's what we're actually hoping accomplishes here. But we've also, because we switched over to the copper wire, we've also got faster, smoother responses out of the sticks. So let's talk a little bit about that and show you what's going on here. Now this helicopter likes to have the remote turned on first. Don't ask me why, it just does. Then we turn on the helicopter. Okay. So we have very, very good fast cycles here. A lot better than what it ever was before, trust me. Now I'm going to go 36 feet away to the other room. I'm even going to close the door. And I have fluorescent lights turned on in here, which interfere, by the way. Now I couldn't hear that with the door shut, so now I'm going to do it with the door open so I can hear it. So, much, much better. Let's put it on the ground. Now, what I'm going to do is have this pointed at me so you can see what I'm doing here. Now let's fire up the throttle, real slow. So, my throttle now kicks in about here. Okay, I turned the remote off. It used to kick in about here. And then the thing would just want to go zoom right to the sky. So, another big improvement. Now this thing doesn't want to stay put for long. It just wants to go. So, pretty good responses, I think. So, half-dead batteries in the remote, 36 feet away. Still got very quick, fast responses. Door open, door closed, makes no difference. I have fluorescent lights on, which actually do interfere with radio control stuff. That's just the way life is. The fluorescents interfere with a lot of stuff. So our outdoor test will be in the spring when we'll do an actual flight test to see what kind of distance we've gained. Because I already know I'm going to get a gain in distance because I've already got the more sensitivity, more access to my throttle. It's not going to go crazy on me, that sort of thing. It's just everything smoothed right out. And the only thing I've done here was change from a skinny little wussy tin wire to a much thicker copper wire, and I kept the lengths the same. Originally what I wanted to do was to go with twice the thickness of wire and half the length, because that would still give me the exact same length and thickness in the overall of the factory wire, but then just being copper, which would still increase my sensitivity to my sticks and everything else. And it would still increase the range too, because the remote's going to be able to talk to the helicopter. However, I'm going to get a much better range access, I'm sure, because I went with the same length of wire, twice as thick, being copper. Okay. Now I also have ST's WE2012 helicopters, which are the exact same machine as the SEMA SO31 And these things also contain the same exact thin little wire. Now, I haven't really had any issues with response on the throttle, response to stick movements, you know, for left, right, forward, backward. And I really don't have any distance issues. I've had these things up well over 100 feet easy, and on a angled plane from the height to the ground, I'm about another, say, I don't know, 150 feet, okay? So on a cross angle. So basically I'm up like this, okay, I'm down here on the ground, so I'm about 150 this way, it's 100 feet straight up. I've had no issues controlling this thing, and I've flown it all around the yard, and it's pretty scary because my backyard's nothing but the woods, okay? It's tree line, I'm up on a mountain. So getting up over top the tree lines like that, if a wind picks up, I'm screwed. But I've never had any problems with this machine as far as the whole overall happiness of distance and stuff, because believe me, at 100 feet this thing starts to get a little small, you know. So can you imagine that little Litehawk in comparison, you know, getting up that high? You know, I mean, it's not much of a difference, but you know, I like to have some fun and see and do some fun maneuvers and stuff, so you know. But 70 feet out of the Litehawk is pathetic. It is probably the worst range I've experienced in an outdoor RC helicopter. So any improvement is a good improvement, and going into this copper stranded wire twice as thick definitely made a lot of other improvements too, and so it's a win-win, guys. Really it is. Now, if any of you've got a Litehawk Aero, try and find some of this wire, do the antenna mod, because I've got about another probably 2 months to go, 2.5 months, before I'll be able to fly outside. So if you want to do the antenna mod and give us your findings, that would be great. You can actually post a what we call a reply video or whatever onto this one and show us what you've come up with. Just make sure, you know, like you've got to solder these connections properly. So I'm actually going to do a video on how to uninstall and install a new wire to a helicopter, and I'll actually do it to probably one of my Estes, because I don't want to touch my other Litehawk yet. I want to leave it factory because I haven't even flown that one yet, so I want to see how it compares to this on the distances and everything else when I do the flight video for this one. But otherwise, if you guys can have the patience and wait until spring hits here, then that's fine. But I'm still going to do the video anyhow, and in the spring, and we're going to compare factory helicopter, being my black one, to this one, and also just the fact of how much better this is going to respond and fly and distance with the new antenna mod, which I'm very, very pleased with the results so far, so I'm sure I'm not going to be disappointed with my range. I'm hoping definitely for twice the amount of range. If I get more, hey, even better. But it did not add, by the way, extra weight that has affected the helicopter in any way, because I flew this in the house, actually in the living room last night, and I got it to hover long enough that it didn't kilter the helicopter at all. So it's actually, weight ratio is still really good. So I'm also quite happy with that too. So anyways, thanks for watching. We will see you on the next video for sure. And in the meantime, feel free to leave any comments or questions you might have.